On the Other Side of Life is a gritty documentary by Stefanie Brockhaus and Andy Wolff, and we got a chance to sit down and talk to them about this very touching documentary. This is part one of our interview.
The film is about two brothers who live in the Cape Town township, which is just outside of Cape Town, and it's about the period of over 2 years where they were where we met them, and it's about their life. They were in prison when we met them, and they were released on bail from their grandmother, and then they go to an African initiation ritual in the mountains, and they come back to the township and face their old life.
And this sounds like a pretty gritty story. How did you guys come about this subject matter?
We were in South Africa doing work for German television, and we were always like seeing these huge townships. They have like 4 million inhabitants. It's like the Kailicha, where the two brothers live. It's the biggest township in South Africa, and everybody always told us like, don't go in there. And we were really curious. Like, we wanted to see what life is in there because it looks fascinating. It's like a slum. It's like in Brazil, these slums, like City of God, kind of like little poorer. And so we started like finding out how we could travel in there in a safe way. And then we met people, and then we heard it's a lot about crime because it's 80% unemployment, and we wanted to make a film, like our own film, because before we were working for television, and we finally wanted to start our own project about somebody young who's like becoming an adult, and who's involved in crime. And so we started researching, and we heard a lot of stories and talked to like hundreds of kids or youth, like between 18 and 25, inside the prisons, on the streets, and then we found out about this ritual they're doing, and that's when we knew that we want to make a film, because it's not only about crime, because the crime factor got boring a little bit after.
Yeah, you wanted something else.
Yeah.
How did you find these two brothers? I'm not thinking there was an audition process for the film. Did you just come across them in your research?
It was a little bit like an audition process, because we had in mind to make a film about a criminal, so we knew that we had to look in certain places, for example, the prison, the courts, and then the gangsters in the township. And we met a couple of gangsters and gang leaders who would point us out to other people, and so we talked a lot to criminals as such. And then finally, one day we were in the court, and we saw Lucky and Bongani, and they were in the cell. So we were accompanied by a social worker, and we would talk to these guys, in between us, the bars, and they were about to go to prison. And we spotted them, and they were there was an instant sympathy, and we really liked them. And also they were they speak English pretty well, and that's
going to help.
Yeah, that helped.
So how did that process work? Two people, foreign to this country, going into a place that you were told you shouldn't go into. How were you accepted, and how were you able to move around with your crew, with your cameras?
Yeah, it was actually, it sounds crazy, but we were very welcomed. Like, people were very happy that these two whites come into their place and are interested in them, because it's very unusual in South Africa. Like, usually white people don't go into the townships. It's too dangerous. It's really separated. The country is still very separated, and with a lot of prejudice. And I don't know, like, maybe because we're European, we didn't have all those prejudices in a way, or they accepted us because we were not white South Africans. I don't know. Can be a lot of reasons, but we were really welcomed with open arms, and we never felt in danger or anything. It was very warm.